Namaste and hello. This is your Sanskrit instructor welcoming you back into lesson number 120. Now we will go over some new vocabulary words. Now, as you get more and more familiar with the different types of declensions, by seeing certain words, you should be able to identify what by how something is declined to determine whether it is masculine or feminine. So if I were to see, for example, the word ashramaha, which means hermitage, I would know right away that that's a masculine noun because neuter nouns are not declined in a way where there is a visarg at the end. Only nominative singular for the types of nouns that we learned how to decline so far, only nominative singular nouns are declined as are masculine nouns that has a visarg at the end. Same thing what that goes for now if you were to see ashramam, that there's a possibility that it's accusative singular. So that's why you have to take a look at anyway whether it is a masculine or neuter noun. But by taking a look at other types of declensions, so if you were to see, for example, netrani, you would know right away that that's a neuter noun because the arni would indicate, especially if it came from netra, you would know that it was a neuter. It's a neuter type of gender. So identifying the way how nouns are declined, especially when you're reading a Sanskrit text, it's always good to be familiar with the declensions so you don't have to constantly go back to those tables. So the more you know your declensions, the more you could be able to identify something without going back to your notes. But usually in languages, you just have to know through experience of being exposed to vocabulary whether something is masculine or feminine. So let us go over what nouns we have here, and we'll go over the pronunciations. So the first one we have is badhuhu, which is bride, chamuhu, army, shwashruhu, mother-in-law, vidya, knowledge, tara, star, dasi, maid or servant, or a female servant, dasi. So these are all feminine nouns. Let's go over the masculine. Asihi, sword, ashramaha, hermitage, durjanaha, wicked person. Now for the neuter nouns. Aushadham, medicine, kshetram, field, netram, eye, pustakam, book, bhayam, fear, satyam, truth. And now we have 3 different types of conjunctions, and we will go into these more as we go along in the course. So we have yadi, means if, ekada, once upon a time, kintu, but. And then we have some verbs. So verbs are another set of vocabulary that you should be able to identify by so much practice with them, especially if you're very confident in the rules for those conjugations. If you're confident in the rules that apply to the first conjugation, the fourth, the sixth, and the 10th, you should be able to identify a verb right away by the way how the verbal base is formed. So for example, if you know that in the pronunciation, so let's look at the first one. So we have dad, right? Becomes tadayati. Tadayati. The I is there. Out of all of the conjugations that we learned so far, for the first, the fourth, the sixth, and the 10th conjugation, the only conjugation that adds I, for the ones that we learned, is the 10th conjugation types verbs. So you have dad, da, dayati, to beat, 10th conjugation. And then you have tul, to, layati, and that means to weigh. Again, you're seeing the I there again. You know right away that this is parasmaipada, the active voice, because this is ending in T. This is not ending in the A type conjugation. So that's knowing your termination endings for both the atmanepadi and the parasmaipadi, the active and the middle voice. And then you could be able to figure it out. So if you were able, the real question is how well do you know your rules for the conjugation? If I were to just give you a conjugated term, would you be able to work backwards to try and determine the root word? That's how confident you should be in these types of by knowing the rules in the conjugations. Now, the only way this wouldn't work to work backwards and to know what type of conjugation it is if you are working with an irregular verb. But other than that, with the regular verbs, you should be able to work backwards to identify, okay, this is why this is a 10th conjugation. This is why this is a 4th conjugation. So for example, for the 10th conjugation, you have the short medial vowel takes gorna, and then the final vowel takes vridhi. So how did it become tardayati? We're seeing a vowel sign there, the a in tardayati. So that a had to come from somewhere. If you work backwards, you're not going to end up with third, because the medial vowel for tud takes gurna and not vridhi. So that wouldn't work because that is actually an irregular verb. But for example, if you work backwards with tolayati, if you work backwards, you will end up with tul, because that is not an irregular verb. So try to see if you can work backwards to try to figure out the root. So moving on. So tad, tardayati is to beat, 10th conjugation parasmaipadi. Tul, tolayati, to weigh, 10th conjugation. Now for the 4th conjugation, we have kup becomes kapyati, to be angry, and that governs the dative case. It is active voice. And then we have atmanepadi, we could recognize that from the te. We have mri becomes mriyate, and that's the 4th conjugation. You could identify that by the ya being added and not the I. Then for the 1st conjugation, we have klrip becomes kalpate, to be fit for, and that governs the dative case, and that is 1st conjugation. Avagam becomes avagachati, to know, 1st conjugation. And this is all the third person singular conjugations. Then we have udstha, and that becomes uttishtati, to rise, active voice. And then we have prabudh becomes prabodhati, to wake up, 1st conjugation, active voice. So these are the we have 2 more. So we have adish is the 6th conjugation, 3rd person singular, adishati, to order and command. And then finally, 2nd conjugation, us becomes asti, to be, 2nd conjugation, parasmaipadi. So this is all of your vocabulary. And this is your Sanskrit instructor signing off with a namaste.